Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 21 of the Old Men Magic podcast. In today's episode, we discuss the original cycle of pitch spells from alliances, and the old men learn the basics of Commander. We've never played Commander before, but 2023 is the year we build our first Commander decks. Old frame only, Alpha to Scourge. Let's get right into the episode. I hope you enjoy. Welcome, Alex. We're starting now. Happy New Year, Alex. Happy New Year.
Yo. Happy New Year.
We're a little bit late with the episode this week. Before the new year, I set goals for 2023. I was like 52 pods in the year. That's one pod a week. We're starting off strong, Alex. We missed the first week already. We lost one subscriber. We lost our first subscriber.
Oh no.
Today or yesterday. But that's okay. We're going to build back. We're going to build up through the rest of the year. We had a good reason for missing our normal drop date this week. It was New Year's, and I took some time off to drive up back to the hometown, hung out with my co-host Alex. I picked up some stuff. I gotta say, thanks to our generous benefactor, Mr. Havisham. He gave us what did he give us? An external hard drive and a fancy new laptop that will hopefully speed up my editing. So that was fantastic.
Yeah. Yes, thank you.
Thank you,
Mr. Havisham.
Thank you, Mr. Havisham. Alex, I got to say thanks for the beta land and the fancy D&D. I'm looking at it over here. I'm not showing it to the viewers, but the fancy D&D gift set. It's
You're welcome.
D&D what? What's this set again?
It's from the Forgotten Realms set.
Forgotten Realms. Okay, Forgotten Realms. We're gonna crack that open one day.
Yeah, we'll have some draft play.
And then while I was there picking up all my goodies, we had an epic Magic the Gathering showdown, Alex. Have you recovered? Have you recovered from your beatdown yet?
I don't know if I'll ever recover.
I will say, I think that might be the first time I've played Magic. I mean, it's definitely the first time I played Magic since like the late 90s or the early 2000s.
Me too.
I played a little bit in college. I brought my cards up to college. I think the first year, like after I came home for winter break, I picked them up because there was a Magic club up there. I played with them for like a couple of weeks and I was like, I don't like these dorks. I don't want to do this anymore. So I didn't have my whole group to play with. I just kind of quit. And also it's just time consuming.
Yeah.
Like that's the reason that I was kind of winding down towards the end of high school. Things were just getting busier and I was like, I don't want to do this during college. It consumes me. I've done good so far since we've gotten back into it. You know, I'm keeping it like it's a manageable hobby. I'm still spending some time on it, but just doing it on the side is fun. It is a hobby that consumes a lot of people. Like I'm seeing a bunch of people on our Twitter now that I follow Magic people on Twitter, not just like quit Magic, but they have to like announce that they're quitting Magic. And they're not just going to like stop playing for a little bit. They have to get rid of their entire collection. And then they make like these big, long blog posts about how it's like ruined their relationships and destroyed their finance. And there's like, it really can be an addiction. I don't know what it is about this game that leads some people like down that path, but it's like, it's all they want to do.
But I'm also not surprised by it at all. Like
I know,
having, played it and been interested in it.
I was following some guy who was like a goblin specialist in many different formats because I was trying to build a goblin deck. And like a couple weeks after I started following him, he makes this big post. He's like, I'm out. And it was this large blog post about how like he's just been consumed with goblin decks and he's at work. He's thinking about goblins. He's hanging out with his friends and family. He's just got goblins on the brain and he just needs to set it aside because it's destroying his entire life. Now I'm being a little bit extreme there, but he did say, he's like, it's consuming me.
Yeah.
I have to get rid of it.
Plus, yeah, and you're hearing it in the backlash to, their current like marketing strategies as well, like like set fatigue and stuff. People are like, like I buy like every set, I buy everything. And like now it's getting too hard.
Yeah, it's definitely too hard to keep up. You cannot be a completist. And that's been the case for, a very long time. We've talked about how I was overwhelmed like back when Visions, Mirage, and Weatherlight all came out. And I was like, this is too much. And then Tempest and the Stronghold and blah, blah, blah. Anyways.
Yeah, it seemed like it was starting to pick up speed back then. Like, you know what I mean? And, you know, I know it's varied over the years. They've kind of like, you know, fiddled with things, I'm sure, at various points. But, you know, yeah, I have no interest in being a completionist when it comes to like Magic. I'll focus on my own niche area of it, and you know, maybe occasionally dip my toe in different other parts if something comes out that I like. It's, you know, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about a few things, and
yeah, we've both noticed a few secret layers since we've got back in the game that we thought were cool.
Mm-hmm.
A few special sets.
Mm-hmm.
But I went on a bit of a tangent. Our epic Magic the Gathering battle, Alex.
Yes.
I came to town with my green stompy, with my pre-modern green stompy. I was telling you I was building this pre-modern green stompy deck. You weren't quite sure what I was bringing up, though. You thought maybe I was bringing up the goblins. I didn't bring the goblins. I bought the green stompy. And you had some sort of blue-black, I would call it black aggro with some blue trickery.
Yeah.
Black aggro, blue trickery.
No, it wasn't a counterspell deck.
Which threw me. I was expecting to be countered, and I was never countered.
I left two blues open a couple times, like on purpose. Yeah,
I know. I know, it screwed me. Well, actually, it didn't screw me because you screwed me first before I could screw you and then get screwed because I thought the blue were more important than they really were. What was I going to say? Oh, and your deck also seemed like it was pre-modern. I don't know if you purposely made a pre-modern.
Yes, it was pre-modern. Yeah, it was a pre-modern legal.
Okay.
I almost put a brainstorm in it, and then I had to check, and I was like, nope, no brainstorm.
They banned. I haven't quite figured out what brainstorm was banned in pre-modern yet. I still think of brainstorm as like the decent card that was printed when we played back in the day in Ice Age. Like it was a good card. People ran it, but it wasn't like format warping. There was no reason to ban brainstorm back in the day, I don't think. I mean,
no, I feel like people even overlooked it. It was like, you know.
But you had a completely unique black-blue pre-modern brew. I've never seen anything like it, Alex. Game one.
Thank you.
You screwed me. First of all, you cast a dastardly portent. You portented the shit out of me. And that portent was critical because you only had one swamp that entire game. And when you made me shuffle my deck, my next draw was going to be my Winter's Grasp. I could have destroyed that swamp, and you could have done none of the things that you did that game to destroy me. Although, I don't think I would have gone for that swamp because I saw black-blue.
Oh,
if I had drawn that, I think I would have destroyed your island, and that wouldn't have had much of an effect on the game because you really destroyed me with your black cards. You hit me where I was weakest, Alex. You got me with flyers. I think the first two games you pulled Sangiers. You got them out fast, and that's, if I'm remembering correctly, that's what I couldn't recover from. All I had was my Rancored Birds of Paradise. And I actually put Birds of Paradise in the deck. You asked me why they're in the deck. It's mono green. Because I have all those creature pump enchantments. And I was like,
That's kind of what I thought, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I have no flying defense. But, you know, if I could get an Elephant Guide and a Rancor on a Birds, I got a pretty hefty flyer there.
Mm-hmm.
You slammed me with the Sangiers. Then I made a comeback. Then I started doing my thing, Alex. Then I started playing the Llanowar Elves that I Rancored, Elephant Guided, and Elephant Guided. How many points is that? That's 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 trample coming right at your face. You couldn't deal with that. The Coffin Queen helped a little bit. We had to have a little bit of an interlude where we looked up rules for about 20 minutes when you stole my Baloth, and we were trying to see like if you could sack the Baloth and then not take the trample damage, or if you sack the Baloth.
Yeah, we had to refresh about exactly how trample damage worked in some scenarios. Yeah.
So I refreshed myself on that. There were a couple other times where I was confused about things. Here's my biggest problem since coming back to Magic. The type of situations that confuse me the most. Activated or triggered abilities. Where actually in the course of events they will resolve.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I'm screwing that up.
Yeah. I think it's what's probably the most complicated part,
Yeah,
right?
so I'm having some trouble with that still, but I'll get better. I'll keep reading the rules.
Yeah, we're
Keep
working
playing
on it.
Magic. Keep figuring things out. What we need to do is we need to keep playing more, and then we get in
Yeah.
these situations, and then we find the
And
specific
then you have
rules.
to
Because
look it up or
yeah, now I know about
ask someone.
trample. Now I know if you block a trampler and then you remove the blocker from the game before damage is assigned, all of the trample damage goes straight to the player.
Mhm.
Oh, it was
That's what it seemed like from what we looked up. Yeah.
yeah, it wasn't totally clear to me. So I trampled the hell out of you, and then the third game, no, trampled the hell out of you. Then the fourth game, I was just Winter's grasping all your land. Just boom, boom. You would play a swamp. I'd go, get the swamp out of here. You'd play an island. I'd go, get out of here with that island. And then the fifth game, you got mana screwed, I think. Isn't that what happened?
I think
Or
so. They're starting to they're blending together a little bit. I remember the first game more. We played 5 games, right?
Yep, I ended up winning
Played
3-2. You were up 2-0. I made a comeback.
Okay, I wasn't sure if I won the first 2 or if we went 1-1 back and forth at first.
You won the first 2, and it was with flyers. If you would
I
have
was
pulled,
happy.
if you would have pulled flyers or land in those last 3 games, I would have had a hard time dealing with you. And yeah,
I definitely noticed some cards right away, like after playing like 2 or 3 games that I was like, I kind of want to get these out of my deck. Like so there a few changes I would make, but overall I was happy with the relative power levels of our deck. I wasn't sure if like I was going to make a deck that was like way weaker than yours because you've been working on it and like looking it up a little bit, or if mine was, you know what I mean, or just like
yeah,
having certain cards that were like maybe pricey would be like a big deal, or I didn't know how it was going to play out, but I'm glad it was a fun round of games that
no, it was a battle. It could have ended up either way.
Yeah,
The
it was
only
good.
expensive card I really had in that deck was Yavimaya Hollow. And
Okay.
I was hoping that would, I only had it out one game. It didn't really do much for me that one game. That was another reason. That was something I was maybe hoping to like combine with the birds sometimes if I was dealing with a tough
Oh
flyer
yeah,
on
yeah.
the
Use
other
them
end.
as like
Block
will o' the
regenerate, block
wisps, kind
regenerate.
of.
Exactly.
Okay.
Didn't quite work out that way, but maybe one day.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's not a bad idea. Actually, I like that.
But yeah, you whooped me twice, and you just threw your deck together. I've been working on mine for a little while. I've talked to you a little bit about I think it's the DFB mono green, the David Firth Bard mono green deck.
Oh, okay.
It's something that I hear old schoolers talk about. And I just watched like a video about it, and I listened to a podcast about it when I was driving to work one day. I think the general idea is it's a lot of people play it in old school because it's an affordable deck, and you can still win some games in an old school tournament with it. And the idea, I think it's a mono green creature heavy deck with a little bit of disruption in the form of land destruction.
Okay.
I think the idea is to get out like some small creatures quickly and then start playing Ice Storm. Once you've established some creatures on the board, play Ice Storms to slow down your opponent, to disrupt your opponent's ability to play bigger spells.
I like the green land destruction because you can bring out like mana elves and mana birds. You know what I mean? And you're doing that, so you're getting a couple turns ahead already with your mana ramp, and then you're destroying their land. So it's like, it keeps you nice and ahead.
Yeah, that was the idea. Get ahead quick, slow them down with disruption like Ice Storm. Or in the case of like old school, I see lots of crumbles and scavenger folk to get rid of all the moxes and stuff that people use for mana ramp. But yeah, in the I built like a pre-modern version of that. Oh, also these DFB mono green decks, they'll have the small creatures out, and then they usually use like Pendelhavens to pump, giant growths, of course, Wily wolves to pump. So it's like,
did you have a Pendelhaven in there?
I didn't. I wanted to put a Pendelhaven in there, but also not pre-modern legal.
Oh, it's not? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, because all the reprints were after Scourge.
Unless I'm totally wrong.
No, you're probably right. Because several cards like that, like I was going to put Maze of Ith in, but I think its reprints aren't till after the pre-modern block, right?
I think that's also, not pre-modern legal. It was one of the first things I went to put in this deck because I thought it was pre-modern legal, but it didn't show up on Moxfield when I was building it online.
Yeah, all the Maze of Ith reprints are like in Masters editions.
Okay,
and
yeah,
stuff like
Pendelhaven
that.
might be the same thing. In my mind, like if you were to ask me, I would say, oh, Chronicles, but I don't think either one was actually published or printed in
Oh, no,
Chronicles
no,
or fourth edition.
no, definitely not.
So no Pendelhaven to pump. But I did kind of a similar thing in the pre-modern space. I have lots of manimals, animals that produce mana. Llanowar
I thought you said
elves,
mana moles for a second. I
manimals.
was like, they're mana
That
moles?
I mean, I wish that would be
Tunneling.
awesome. So that was like you said, I know I play my land, I get manimals out, give myself ramp, and then potentially on the third turn, playing Winter's Grass to destroy my opponent, slow them down. At the same time I'm ramping, I'm slowing you down.
Yeah.
So I had that like aspect of the deck I carried over into the pre-modern green. And what was the other thing I wanted to mention? Oh, instead of like pumping with Pendelhavens or Wyoli Wolves or stuff, I built a deck around a couple pre-modern enchantments that I just learned about when I started playing pre-modern that I thought were awesome because they don't have the downside that I usually hate about creature enchantments. So I had 4 Rancors and 4 Elephant Guides. So I mana ramp. I slowed down my opponent with some land destruction. I also had Wastelands in there.
Mhm.
I get small creatures out, and then on turns 3 and 4, I'm taking my 2/1 Elvis Archers or my 1/1 Llanowar Elves or my 0/1 Birds, and I'm putting Elephant Guides and Rancors on them. And next thing you know, they're what are they? 11/7 Trample and Llanowar Elves. So, anyways, it was exciting.
No, it is nice
pretty
to
fun.
have get the enchantments that come back like that.
Oh, I wanted to mention though, yeah, your blue trickery totally screwed my Elephant Guy. I was so excited to play
It did,
Elephant
yeah, and
Guides.
I didn't plan. That wasn't planned or
Yeah.
anything. You know, I wasn't thinking about Elephant Guide.
So I played an Elephant Guide on I think it was an Elvis Archer or something, and I was like, oh, he's in trouble now. And then what did you do, Alex?
I unsummoned it.
What kind of bullshit is that? Who's gonna play an unsummon? I was not
What's wrong with
expecting to.
unsummon? It's great.
I was not expecting to be unsummoned. That's all. I was all psyched about like my Elephant Guide doing work, and then you're like unsummoned, and I thought,
Yeah,
are you kidding me? I
and it
don't know
doesn't
if I.
make the elephant then.
And yeah, it was terrible.
It was terrible.
I don't think I've ever been unsummoned. I don't know. Like if I remember to back in the day.
We didn't
I've
play
been,
with it. We didn't play with it. But I think that was one of the cards that I sort of felt like revisiting. That I feel like was neglected and is strong. And I've kind of been wanting to have some sort of partial unsummoned deck since I started. So that's kind of one of the reasons why I had that in there.
It's one of the few
That and
things that
Twiddle.
screws. It's one of the few things that screws Elephant Guide. Yeah. So thanks for that, Alex. You
You're welcome.
also leapt over a Baloth. I wasn't expecting that either.
Oh yeah. Leap. I like that card because it has the cantrip effect. So
It was good. I think I died the turn after you did that. I can't remember exactly, but it did work, Alex. It did work.
yes.
So that was our epic Magic battle. It was very
Yeah,
fun.
good game. Good game.
I was like nervous. I don't know why.
You know what? You scared me so bad when you said Berserk. I was like,
Yeah.
oh. I was like, oh, Berserk. Oh, I lost.
Another card I wish was not illegal in pre-modern, but unfortunately.
Yeah. I wasn't sure at the moment, but I panicked because I was like, I let something through. You were attacking me, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna like let that through, and then I'll deal with it next turn. And you were like Berserk, and I was like, oh.
But anyways, let's follow up to our last episode, Alex. Our last episode was the second of our 2 Goblin episodes, and one of the cards we mentioned in that episode was Skirk Prospector. I think at some point in the episode, I'm like, Skirk,
I saw that come up like independently after we talked about it too somewhere. I'm not sure why.
I was like, whatever the hell a Skirk is. I mean, obviously it's a goblin, but I don't know anything about the Skirks. I did a little bit of digging, Alex. I did some research. What the hell is a Skirk?
You got the Skirks, the jerks.
Skirk's a goblin of Otaria. Where the hell is Otaria? They inhabit the Skirk Ridge in the southern Partick Mountains, and as such are called Skirk for short. They're enthusiastically enamored with fire and explosions, often to their detriment. That helps me understand Skirk Fire Marshal.
Makes sense.
Makes perfect sense. I'm assuming also that the original Goblin Grenader was a Skirk. I don't remember if the text for Goblin Grenade has Skirk anywhere in the text
wait,
box or anything.
So wait, there's Goblin Grenade, and then is there Goblin Grenadier also?
Oh yeah, there is. I wasn't even thinking about that when I said Goblin Grenader. I was thinking of Goblin Grenade, but I was just imagining the goblin that was in the artwork of Goblin Grenade. I was calling him the Goblin Grenader. But yes, there is a Goblin Grenadier as well. I don't remember what set that was from.
I think that was like, I'm gonna find out right now before I say the wrong thing. It's old.
The Skirk made their homes in
this
elaborate.
is Weatherlight. That's way later than I thought.
That is. I wouldn't have expected Weatherlight.
No, I thought it was like back like a Fallen Empires or the Dark or something.
Yeah, it seems like it would be, but guess not. Skirk made their homes in elaborate networks of cliffside tunnels, Alex. They built rickety rope bridges to navigate their environment. After the Phyrexian invasion, they were joined by many goblin refugees from elsewhere in Dominaria.
I thought that aspect was interesting. These goblins, they take in each other as, they're in separate tribes, but when there's a crisis, they unite with their ilk, and they
band together. They accidentally blow up their friends.
We're gonna,
Oopsie.
Sorry, cuz.
But that's what a Skirk is. Maybe next I will do some research on the Mogs.
I thought that was an interesting little write-up, some backstory and flavor that I didn't know about.
Another follow-up, Alex.
Yes.
In an episode, I can't remember if it was the same episode where we mentioned the Skirks, but in a recent episode, you were talking about some cards that were going up in price or down in price or down and up in price. And you pulled a card named Crystal Spray. We were looking at this card, trying to figure out why it went up in price all of a sudden. It's a card from Invasion. It's a rare, right? I think that's the gold. Okay. Let me zoom in here properly. 2 colorless, 1 blue. Instant. Change the text of target spell or permanent by replacing all instances of 1 color word or basic land type with another until end of turn. And you draw a card. So it's a cantrip. And it had recently just like shot up from, I don't know, it was 25 cents bulk rare to, where is it now? $3 market price. And just like a few months, all of a sudden it like 10x'd. I'm trying to figure out why people wanted Crystal Spray all of a sudden.
Yeah.
It's an interesting card, but it does things that lots of other cards, I feel like, that have been printed in Magic the Gathering have also done,
your prismatic lace and your, Slate of Mind. And
I found out why it spiked all of a sudden, Alex. I saw this post on our Twitter. Posted by Chris, aka Chi Style. He said he made a post about this, showing this chart for Crystal Spray. He said the Don shared deck format has officially turned Crystal Spray from perennial bulk rare into a $5 card. What a time to be alive! So that's why this is spiking.
That makes sense. I read about the Don like game type, and I looked at it a while ago. I just didn't realize this card was on there. They didn't add this recently to that. It's just been on there.
I have no idea.
That's confusing to me that it didn't go up in price before, like earlier. You know what I mean?
Don isn't brand new. I don't know what all of a sudden brought people to this card, people from the Don format to this card. There's no post about it. I didn't really read about it. That's not true. There is a post about it. He said, check out the link to an article on TCG Player I posted below. Although I think that link was just about the format. And I think that might have been the same article you and I both read quite a while ago about the Don format. But that's why this is spiking, because
maybe it just took a while for people to be like, oh, hey, this one's a rare and I can buy it out.
I don't know about the legality of cards in Don. Like, what subset of cards are they drawing from? I don't remember.
There's just like a list. It's just like these cards are legal, I believe. I think the deck has to be a certain number of each of the cards too. I can't remember now.
So maybe
article that he gave
maybe us. Who is ever in charge of this made a recent modification to the Don format, and they decided Crystal Spray should be allowed, and now everybody who Dons is buying Crystal Sprays all of a sudden. But I thought that was funny because this is it's a crazy, ridiculous format, and we were looking at this card a couple weeks ago, thinking, what is going on here? And of course, it's something as weird as the Don the Don old schoolers. Are you trying
I'm
to
looking
find
at
that?
Don? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because so it's a shared deck. I remember reading that. So yeah, I think the deck is just like strictly built like this card, this like two of this, two, So there's like a list of cards and amounts of them that go in it. And it has 2 crystal sprays in it.
Okay. Is this a new? Is this a new addition to the Don deck?
I don't see anything about that. I'm looking at this article about the format from 2022 and it lists it. So I guess it's just, it just took a while for people to decide to buy more of this, I guess.
Yeah.
Is how I'm going to read it for now.
Yeah, maybe everybody who played Don already had their positions in Crystal Spray, but there was somebody who's speculating on the rise in popularity of Don. They're like, we're going to buy this all up right now.
Yeah. Or just because the format's been getting more popular too.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, I just to me it looked like it spiked very dramatically, just now.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So it's a little confusing, but
yeah, it's not a terribly expensive card, but it is crazy that it went up from like 25 cents to almost $3, potentially $5. This is one I'm always a little bit confused when the average price and the market price diverged this significantly. I guess I could just go to TCG Player and see what they're actually going for now.
Mm-hmm.
Let me do that. Crystal Spray, Magic the Gathering on TCG Player.
There's 2 for $2.80 and then 1 for $7.77.
38 listings in all
it goes
conditions.
To foils. There's almost none for sale, actually.
Near mint. I should buy this one right now. I can get a near mint.
Buy that one for $2.80 right now.
$2.80, 99 cents shipping. The next lowest one is light play, $4.44, 99 cents shipping. Then a heavily played.
Yeah, search by near mint. Just click the near mint box over there because there's only 3 near mint ones that aren't foil.
Yeah, wild.
And, yeah,
this is weird. Very weird. Everybody should FOMO out. I'm FOMOing out right now. As soon as we stop recording, Alex, I'm buying these 3.
Don't wait.
You're right. Let's pause the cast. Okay.
Just type your credit card information into the screen.
Yeah.
We'll keep podcasting.
Nobody watches anyways. Nobody's going to find it out.
Nobody watches it.
So those are the follow-ups to some of our recent episodes. The Skirk discussion, what's going on with Crystal Spray. Now we kind of know, we're Don weirdos. Buying it all up.
Yeah. No offense, Don weirdos.
I mean, we're all weirdos. Yeah, I'm a weirdo too. It's not a Don weirdo.
It's not
I'm
a bad
different
thing.
type. Yeah, no. Yeah. No shade. Now, Alex, our first
Steve.
main segment of this episode, the thing that I really wanted to talk about today. Old Men Magic have a project for 2023. You're aware of that, Alex, right?
I am.
We are going to build our first ever commander decks.
We are.
You and we have 0 commander decks.
We are going to command.
We've never built a commander deck.
Never.
Back in the day, I just played straight up one-on-one 60 card Magic.
Yeah.
You've said before, we should play more 2-headed giant. We probably played like one. I might have played.
We tried that
but I
like
don't
once
remember.
or twice. When we were in the really early days of playing, we would play some like team and multiplayer games. I remember that. But as we got more serious, it almost always went to like one-on-one. We'd occasionally play team or something like that, multiplayer.
But for the most part, just one-on-one. Don't have a lot of experience with multiplayer games. And also, we have no experience with Commander. I had to look up the rules of Commander. This episode is going to be very boring for serious Commander players because
it won't be boring.
This episode is going to be the old men teaching themselves the rules of Commander. Before we get into the rules, deck construction rules, gameplay rules, I want to say My commander deck, I think you're going to build yours the same.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
going to be all old frame cards printed between Alpha and Scourge. So
Yes.
old frame cards that were originally printed in old frame. I don't have anything against new frame cards, but as
I
we
do.
briefly discussed in this episode, shh, Alex, don't upset the viewers, especially if we're going to talk about Commander.
I wonder if the paper was better, if they felt better, it would be okay. I'd be like, oh, it's just a difference in opinion on what the border looks like. That's one thing, but
yeah, some of them don't feel as good. I don't know if it's psychological or not, but I don't think it is. I don't think they feel as good. You're right.
Anyway, sorry.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Just put them in your stupid dragon sleeves and you won't even notice.
True. That's true.
You know. Anyways, old frame cards printed between Alpha and Scourge. The reason I'm doing this is just because there's just too much.
Yeah, there's too much. And I like playing older cards. I have more older cards, and I'd like to keep it in that sort of like power area.
Yes. I don't want to have to take the small collection I have and just set it completely aside and then just start buying all modern
buying a bunch of modern cards in
to
order to
build a
make
modern commander deck.
Yeah. And I understand that this will make our commander decks weak, probably, against other people. I don't
care, man.
But I don't care, because Commander is largely about, casual play anyways. So
having fun. Oh, I'm glad you mentioned casual play, because I want to say I'm focusing on cEDH. I'm making a cEDH commander
And this
deck.
means competitive, right?
C stands for casual EDH.
Oh, I had it the other way around. I thought the cEDH was the competitive EDH.
It is, but in Old Men Magic,
what?
EDH is casual EDH. So every time this year when we talk about our cEDH decks, we're going to be discussing our casual.
Oh, that's way too confusing. Decks. People are going to hate that.
It's the way we're doing it now. This is Old Men Magic Commander. cEDH equals casual EDH.
No, it's already casual. It starts off getting I have to object. I think, am I wrong? Or is cEDH actually casual?
No, cEDH is competitive. In the rest of the world, but on the Old Man Magic podcast, cEDH...
We need a different nickname for it, so it's not the same exact thing.
No, cEDH equals
Cash EDH. Call it cash.
We've already decided. I decided unilaterally. If you want to, we can discuss this further off the podcast. But
I'll just issue a disclaimer every time you say it to remind people of what the case actually is.
I mean, I'm the editor, so I'm just gonna every time I see cEDH, I'm gonna stamp right on the video.
And you're gonna edit out my disclaimer.
I can do that, but I'm also gonna stamp cEDH equals casual EDH.
Oh, okay, like on the screen.
Yeah, it won't be confusing to them at all, though. We'll just hit them over the head with it, and eventually they'll get it. So they'll start to understand that every time somebody
says, so many posts in the comments that are like, cEDH is competitive.
We don't get any posts in the comments, Alex.
All right, fair enough again. All right.
That's not true.
You seem to have thought this through.
I'm sorry, that's not true. We do get some posts in the comments, and I appreciate the commenters.
Yes, thank you for the comments.
If any of them are, commander players, let me know. If you're excited to hear about our cEDH,
I'm sure they are. Everyone plays
casual EDH commander decks. So I want to start off by reviewing the rules of Commander. I went to a couple different sites, mtgfandom.com wiki, which is like MTG wiki.
I'll use that a fair amount for rules questions and history questions.
There's here. Okay, here it is. And then from here, I found a link to, I go here all the time, MTG wiki. I started reading their commander format. This is where a noob goes. We're old school players. We've been in the game. Well, we started the game a long time ago, but we've been out of the game for so long. We're basically noobs. Yeah. So when it comes to a format that wasn't big back in the day when we played, I gotta read the wiki like a noob. And I think somewhere on this site, I think I found it on this site. Yeah, I did. I found a link to another website. Started reading here too. mtgcommander.net. I believe this is the official
I've been here
website. So this is where I went through and found some of the rules. I wrote them down in some bullet points for me, so they're slightly different than what's up here on the screen. But for the most part, I'm going to hit all the major points that you have to know when you're constructing a deck for Commander or playing Commander. So deck construction rules, Alex. Players have to choose a legendary creature, planeswalker, as a commander for their deck. Legendary creature / planeswalker. Here it just says, choose a legendary creature, but I saw in other places refer to, planeswalkers too. I don't know if planeswalkers are all also considered like a legendary
Yeah, they probably
creature
count as
subtype.
legendary creatures. Yeah, I don't know.
But it seems like people use all of those. Since I'm alpha to Scourge, there are no planeswalkers available to me. So I'm just going to pick a good old legendary creature. So that's simple. That's easy. I think I already know my legend. I think it's going to be Jacques Levert. Did you want to also build a deck with Jacques Levert? I don't want to take your commander, Alex.
No, not at all. Okay. No, we talked about it.
Okay. Good.
I think that's fine. That's fine. I think it's a good idea.
Old school. That's old school as shit. For anybody who doesn't know Jacques, people probably know Jacques Levert, right?
I think so. Yeah, I think he's still around.
Compared to overpowered commanders these days, this guy ain't much, but I love him, man. Back in the day, I loved these old legends. I didn't have any of these guys. And when I started playing again recently, the first things I bought were the Elder Dragons from Legends, because I love original legendary creatures from
original legends are so cool and flavorful. And I like him too. He has a good quote. His art is cool. And he's good.
I think he's pretty good too. And he's good in like I don't want to call it a tribal deck because like green is not a tribe, but he's good in a creature themed deck. He pumps all anyways, it's obvious. All your green creatures get +0/+2. He has a pretty fair mana cost. He has a decent power toughness.
And he works on himself. Did you say that already?
I didn't say that already.
Okay. Yes. So he is 3/4.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dang it. Good. He hasn't been Goblin Kinged. Has he been errated? No. He better not have been errated.
No. In fact, there's a rule, and I think this is maybe the only reason they haven't or can't do that is that there is a ruling on him, like from a judge ruling, tournament ruling, whatever, that says he affects himself, and that's on. Okay. If you go to like Gatherer.
Raise Jesus, Alex. He can't be bolted. Jesus. He can be side blasted, but he can't be bolted.
If you go to Gatherer, it says October 4th, 2004 ruling gives himself +0/+2.
I love it. I love to see it, Alex.
Oh, this guy. How'd you get to him?
This is just
bring him up later.
No, he was just up on.
Oh, okay.
He was just up.
Doing something tricky, Steve?
Nothing. I can't remember even. No. I saved that somewhere in my bookmarks, so now when I just start to go type in Gatherer, it autofills to that page. I don't even remember why I saved them. We talked about it in one episode, but I don't remember why.
Well, we'll come back to it.
Jacques Levert, currently around $50 market price. I got him on eBay. I think I got him for like low 40s. Just get out the little.
I think mine was 45. He's super near mint though.
Yeah. You get out the little jeweler loop. You look. He had the little red dots. He's good. You can buy off eBay sometimes. Not everybody's ripping you off on eBay. He had a spike, like a lot of other cards. Post COVID. Wish I would have got him for $20, $15 back in the day, but I missed the boat. 40 some ain't so bad for original Legend.
No, I mean he might come down a little, but I think that price pre-pandemic, there shows that he has some value. I think people do like him for Commander, just for their casual fun decks or whatever. He's
a fun deck, and I am making a casual EDH deck, cEDH. This is going to be my commander, Jacques Levert. Second deck construction rule, Alex. Let's go back to this commander website.
Rule 2.
No cards in a deck may have a color identity that does not match or is not a subset of the color identities of the commander.
Yeah. So your commander sets your colors.
Yeah. So now this is something that was I didn't totally understand it when I first read it. So no cards in the deck may have any colors in their color identity which are not the color identity of the deck's commander. So my deck's commander is Jacques Levert, white, red, green. The next deck construction rule: a card's color identity is its color plus the color of any mana symbols in the card's roots text. This is something that I didn't think about.
Yeah, so if you have like a blue creature with an ability that says black mana to do this.
Yes. So I thought of a card that I have. I'm like, wait, what does this mean exactly? I thought of Sky Shroud Elf. It's a manimal that you can tap for what? Green, white, or red. I'm trying to remember exactly how that works. And I thought to myself,
oh yeah, he filters the mana.
Yeah. I thought to myself, if Sky Shroud Elf can be tapped. Okay, tap to add green to your mana pool, or yeah, he can filter any one colorless into a white or a red. I thought if I'm reading that rule correctly, then that means Sky Shroud Elf has a color identity of green, red, and white.
I think.
And that is correct.
Okay.
I did do some Googling.
Also, Elves of Deep Shadow is an example.
Yeah, I did some Googling and I actually found this exact example that I was thinking about, Sky Shroud Elf.
Oh, okay.
Color identity is determined by two things: the colors that the card is, derived from mana cost, or color indicator, primarily printed on transform cards from Innistrad. I immediately removed that from my brain because I'm not going to be involved in any of that.
Yeah. Skim.
Mana symbols in the card's rules text, but not those in reminder text. For example, Sky Shroud Elf has a color identity of green, white, and red because you can tap it for green, or you can filter colorless for white or red. Those are all in the rules text, but not Basilica Guards. Basilica Guards is only white since the hybrid symbol. What does it
say, by the way? Because I don't know.
I'm going to look that up, yeah.
Okay.
He says Basilica Guards is only white since the hybrid symbol, which would make it white and black, appears in reminder text. So I looked up Basilica Guards to get an idea of exactly how this was working. And Basilica Guard is a modern card from Gatecrash. We have not gotten anywhere close to Gatecrash yet. I know nothing about that. I'm trying to get this image to update.
Yeah, it's weird. I see that.
There we go.
Okay, there
Basilica Guards, human soldier, 2 colorless, 1 white, defender, extort. And then in parentheses, whenever you cast a spell, you may pay white or black. If you
so that means if a creature has extort, it's always with white and black? I
have no idea. I don't know anything about extort. I don't know if it varies depending on if the mana cost varies.
Because I think that's the crux of this, that like in a reminder text like that, it wouldn't vary. You know what I mean? It would be like a keyword ability that's the same on every card or something.
That's probably right.
I think.
That what you're saying makes logical sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's probably how it works. But yeah, I didn't think about this at all. I was unaware of this fact.
I read that at one point because I've been on here and read through this, but I forgot about it.
Okay. So card's color identity. We now know what defines the card's color identity. Deck size. A commander deck must contain exactly 100 cards, including the commander. If you're playing a companion, it must adhere to color identity and singleton rules. While it is not part of the deck, it is effectively a 101st card. My note here that I made was, I currently have no idea what a companion is. We will figure this out throughout the year. Explain.
I think I know that. Okay, so it's like, it's a creature or like a legend that has a rules text thing that interacts with another one. So they act as like twins with each other. So basically it's a way to like bring that other creature into the game because they both share that property. It's sort of like how some cards are like, you can have more than 4 cards in your deck if it is called this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's that. Does that make sense? That I did a poor job of explaining that.
No, I've seen cards like that, and I don't know if any of them are alpha to Scourge.
Like Relentless Rats right there, I think, says something like that.
Yes. Okay, perfect. Okay, there we go. Yeah, Relentless Rats. I looked this up the other day, and I forgot about it already. This is one of those cards.
It says a deck can have any number of cards named Relentless Rats. Yeah. But yeah, Companion does something similar to that kind of. It's like, yeah, it like lets you kind of pull in that second commander because you're allowed to have 2 commanders if they both have to have Companion on them. I think.
Okay. Well, I will not be having a Companion in my first commander deck Maybe that's something that I'll do later in the day when I'm a more advanced cEDH, casual EDH player. But for now, no companion. I'm going traditional 100 card commander deck. Another deck construction rule: with the exception of basic lands, no 2 cards in the deck may have the same English name. So it's pretty much a singleton. It's essentially a singleton type format, one of each card, with the exception of some cards like the one we just mentioned, Relentless Rats. If it has a rule text that overrides that restriction, you're free to have more than one. Another thing, deck construction rules not listed here, but something I found on another website, maybe the MTG Wiki. The commander format does not use a sideboard.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know that.
It kind of makes sense because that's a tournament thing, you know?
Yeah. And because of that, there are certain cards that you can't play in Commander, like the wish cards, where you are allowed to retrieve cards that aren't in your deck.
Bring something in from out of the game, because normally in like real play, they consider that like it brings it in from the sideboard, not just from your giant box of cards. Yeah. Okay.
Which when I play those cards, it brings it in from wherever. Like if if I play Living Wish, if I want a card, if I want a Living Wish for the card, if I don't own the card, doesn't matter. Pause the game. I drive to an LGS, I purchase it, I come back, put it in my hand, and I play it. That's how I want those cards to work. That's how they work when I play them.
Yeah.
If that's not how they were intended to work, they should have said, you pull the card from your sideboard. That's not what they say. Anyways, I'm glad you agree.
Fair enough.
Last deck construction rule I want to mention that's also not in this list, but I found somewhere else. Commander is an eternal format, so cards from all eternal legal sets are allowed. So it's huge. That's pretty much everything except for, like, I saw a reference to Acorn cards.
Okay.
Can't remember exactly what those are.
I remember it.
I think that's certain cards in like are they certain cards in the unhinged or the unglued
something
sets?
like that. Yeah.
They have
wacky.
acorns, and they make them. And if it has an acorn, you can play it, or you can't play it. I can't remember either way. Acorn cards and like things like MTG 30th Anniversary Edition, for instance. It's not made to be legal, although I shouldn't even get into that because there was all sorts of discussions about whether or not it would be allowed in Commander. I think this guy, Sheldon Menery, made a Twitter post saying that they wouldn't be legal in Commander. People got mad, and then they were like, I'm going to make them legal in my Commander pod. And then other people were like, I hate these cards. I'd kick people out of my Commander pod if they were playing. Anyways, you remember all that stuff. People flipping their shit over MTG 30. We don't need to get into that. This is an episode on how to build a Commander deck. Commander is an eternal format. Those are the deck construction rules. Pretty straightforward. Gameplay rules, Alex. These are all also different from the rules we're used to playing with. Players begin the game with 40 life.
Yeah. We've brought that up a few times, just talking about new cards or old cards that now maybe function differently because people are playing with 40 life instead of 20.
Yeah. Tapping your Ancient Tomb doesn't seem so horrible any longer. Taking 2, you know.
Yeah, and on the flip side, doing a little bit of damage to your opponent is not as good.
Yeah. Commanders. I was asking you like a week ago or so. I was like, when exactly do you cast the commander? Does it sit there? Does it begin the game in play, or do you have to cast it? Yeah, you have to cast it. I heard about the command zone, but I didn't actually know you have to cast the commander from the command zone. So you have your 100-card deck. There's essentially 99 cards in your stack, and your commander will be sitting in the command zone.
It's off to the side in its own place.
While a commander is in the command zone, it may be cast. Its owner must play 2 colorless for each time it was previously cast from the command zone. This is an additional cost. So if people kill your commander, it goes back to the command zone.
I think it doesn't say that. I don't know if it
doesn't say that. Yeah.
If it goes to the graveyard,
it probably goes to the graveyard because it says right here, actually, if a commander is in graveyard or exile. Yeah. I should before I ask you questions, I should just move on to my next bullet point and the next point written up here. If a commander is in a graveyard or an exile and that card was put into that zone, since the last time state-based actions were checked, its owner may put it into the command zone. So
you can just pull it out of the graveyard for free.
It
But you
does
don't
go to the
have to,
graveyard.
right? So if you want to like animate dead your commander or something, you could, right?
It says may. According to this
Yeah, it
rule,
says
it doesn't
may.
say it has to be taken in the graveyard. But I guess this rule's probably in place to trigger any effects that are triggered when a creature goes to the graveyard, you know?
Yeah.
Next rule. Being a commander is not a characteristic. It's a property of the card and tied directly to the physical card. As such, commanderness cannot be copied or overwritten by continuous effects. The card retains its commanderness through any status changes and is still a commander when controlled by another player.
Uh-huh.
So you can, whatever card you use to change its type, whatever you do, it's still commander. I didn't know this at all. I'd never heard this. If a player's been dealt 21 points of combat damage by a particular commander, that player loses the game.
I didn't know that.
But you don't actually
Maybe I read that at one point, but
you don't actually have to deal 40 damage to your opponent.
No.
Just 21 damage.
If your commander's your big baddie or whatever.
I won't be doing that with Jacques.
No.
So I'll have to find another way to win. I'll have to find another win condition. Next bullet point I wrote down for gameplay rules. This is my last point. Parts of abilities which bring other traditional cards you own from outside the game into the game do not function in Commander. This is, I mentioned the wish cycle, Living Wish. I don't know what Wish is. Can't remember what Karn the Great Creator is. But this is because you don't have a sideboard. So it's like, if it's not in the deck, you can't play a card that brings anything from outside of your deck into the game. So those are fairly straightforward rules. Now I mentioned my commander. It's going to be Jacques Levert. I got to bring up Jacques again. Side note, Alex, do you remember Dusty?
I'm sorry?
Do you remember Dusty?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Uh-huh. Shout out to Dusty from Hot Shots. The Magic
Every time I
Store
see
in the
Legends
1990s.
cards, I think of this guy named Dusty because, like, I thought he was the coolest. Well, I don't know if he had Jacques Levert, but like he had all of the.
He had Elder Dragons. I remember that.
Yes, he had all sorts of legendary creatures, and he had Arabian Nights cards. I know for a fact he had Island of Wak Wak. Pretty sure he had Alley of Cairo. I don't remember anything about the guy. I know that he wasn't.
I think.
I know he wasn't the guy that ripped me off when he sold me the Icy Manipulator right before it was printed in Ice Age, and I didn't know about that yet, and he did know about it, and they like laughed at me for ripping after they ripped off a 12-year-old. I was like. Guys, you suck, man. Also, I still have that Icy Manipulator, and it's still fucking awesome. So I don't even regret buying that. It was a birthday present, and I love it. So screw you guys if you're listening anywhere. You guys
still
are
have
losers.
it? You have your old Icy?
Yeah.
Nice.
That's one card I'm never going to get rid of.
I don't have original Icy.
It was the first big card my mom ever bought me for my birthday.
That card was like the big card during a certain era, like at the beginning of the game when we were like first started playing and we were, just getting, just learning about cards outside of the ones we had pulled from our starter decks and stuff. Like Icy Manipulator was like the card. It wasn't even Black Lotus. It was Icy Manipulator.
It was the shit, man.
It was the iconic picture. Everyone wanted that card.
I didn't even care. After it was reprinted in Ice Age. Well, first of all, I said, I still loved it because it was a gift. So that guy was not, he was not gonna ruin my high.
Yeah.
By laughing at me and telling me it was about to be reprinted. That was one thing. But then also, after it was reprinted in Ice Age, the art was so much worse that I was like,
yeah.
I don't want
Who wants an Ice Age Icy Manipulator compared to an original one? Jeez.
I mean, yeah, then afterwards I could have got cheaper, but whatever. Whatever, man. It's still awesome.
Whatever.
But yeah, I brought up Dusty because every time I look at the old legendary creatures, I think of this guy named Dusty.
I remember him. He's the only one of those. There were several like older guys at the shop who played, and he was the only one whose name I knew. Probably because he was the only one who was like kind of cool.
He's the only person I remember.
There was the one like fat guy with the Browns jacket who would like sit on the stool and like jiggle laugh. Remember him?
No.
He was real like sarcastic. Like he would always sit on a stool, like perched there, and he's like,
Are you sure this isn't just a person you made up because there's
supposed
to be one of those guys in every card shop?
No. He was very much like comic book store guy from The Simpsons, except he didn't have a beard.
I was just going to say that
He wore like a Browns jacket, I'm pretty sure, or a hat, something Browns. And he always sat on the stool. I remember that detail distinctly.
Perched over everybody.
Yeah. He was like real sarcastic. He was like snarky.
I do remember you. I got a cough. I do remember there being somebody who you always used to say was like the angry comic book store guy from The Simpsons.
Yeah, that was probably that guy.
Yeah, I don't remember anything about him. I just remember you talking about him. But yeah, shout out to Dusty if you ever listen to an episode of Old Man Magic podcast.
Yeah, we remember you.
Yes, type us a comment. We'll have you. I don't know, as a guest. I wonder if you have any of your. I wonder if you have any of your cards still.
Hope so.
So Jacques Levert, this is my commander. I'm building a white, green, red deck. All I know at the moment is it's going to contain Jacques, and I think I'm going to put in Keza. If you remember Keza.
Uh-huh.
I had to look up this rule. I was like, oh, can you have more than one legend in your deck? The answer is yes. You can fill your deck with legendary creatures. Like it doesn't. You're not limited to having your commander as the only legendary creature.
Yeah, no.
And Keza is a summon legend. So Jacques Levert's going to pump my green creatures. Keza's going to pump my green creatures. And then I'm just going to run a horde of green creatures to stomp people. And I'll play then in addition to that, I'll just throw in like the best red and white spells that I can think of.
Uh-huh.
It's going to be pretty straightforward. It's going to be stomping to the face. Pretty much like my premodern green stompy. All I like to do is I like to play forests and I like to turn creatures sideways.
So like to the core of Magic. Steve.
I'm simple. I'm a simple man. I like simple things. I build simple, elegant, streamlined decks. That's my goal. You have any idea what you're going to make yet? Have you thought?
Not yet. No, I don't.
I think the plan for this, if you agree, this is the way I was thinking of doing this, is it would evolve slowly, like over the course of the year. Not saying it's going to take us a whole year to put it together, but like every episode, I think maybe we should have a short little segment where we do our commander update and we talk about the cards that we added. Yeah, talk about the cards that we added to our deck. Mm-hmm. So I think that'd be fun.
I'm thinking, I don't know. I was thinking of trying to do like black, blue, red, just because like I like that combo, and I have a few cards that are neat in like multicolor, like that fit that. But I was also thinking about doing something green, like either like an Enchantress type deck or something black green, with like graveyardy. I don't know. I'm not sure. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm thinking about it.
Alex.
Yeah. Whew.
Red, black, blue. That's exactly what you said.
Yeah.
I'd also say maybe.
It's too rich for my blood, though.
Solkanar. This, if I wasn't doing Jacques, I would probably do Solkanar.
Yeah.
Because he's one of my other favorites, and also $113. What? Oh yeah, okay, $68.91 market price. I swear I bought this guy for like around the same price I bought Jacques around the same time too on eBay. It's not 100. It's probably more like 50, 60 on TCG Player, don't you think?
Can't be that. Yeah. Oh, another guy I was thinking of was Sabo Tavok, but she doesn't have blue in her casting cost. I think it's a her.
What's Solkanar going for right now? She can get a light play Solkanar for $50 to $60. You could also, the benefit of Solkanar is it's also printed in Chronicles, so you can get it for 50 cents too.
Yeah.
What was the one you said? I know we talked about this person before, but I forgot.
Sabo Tavok. Yeah.
Gotta move that.
I knew this card was in my head for some reason, and I believe it's because it has protection from legends and can destroy a legend. So I thought it'd be fun in Commander.
You son of a bitch.
Yeah. So maybe I'll put that in not as my commander.
Yeah, because you want the blue.
If I want blue.
Yeah. This would be a cool one.
Yeah, it'd be fun in it. It'd be fun in the format.
Yeah.
Expensive, but whatever.
Mana wise.
Big Timmy Blaster.
I know, that's what I was thinking. I was like, it'll take a while to get it out, but when you do, it's going to be pretty annoying.
Hey.
Pretty annoying.
I was looking at something the other day that was blue, black, red, and I can't remember what it was. I don't even know if it was a creature. It might have been a spell. Oh,
also, Commander, you have 40 life now, so like some of these cards I think I usually think of as like being uncastable. You probably have more time for things to develop in a
maybe, yeah.
40 life game. I don't know.
If a game goes, I think so, because if a game goes back and forth, if you're like almost out, then all of a sudden like the people who are attacking each other change, and like you can kind of like maybe get a long game going.
Yeah,
but we don't know. We haven't played. We'll find out.
Destroy target legend. It can't be regenerated. Oh, I'm already irritated, Alex, and you haven't even cast it against me. This is terrible. So that's going to be fun. That's the big Old Man Magic project for the year 2023. Maybe halfway through the year, we'll have our decks ready to go. We can have an epic commander battle. You and I.
First ever guests, hopefully. Maybe we'll find some guests to commander battle with us.
That's right. Does everybody always play commander 4-player?
I don't know. They play one-on-one.
Okay.
Is my understanding, unless I'm totally dumb. I think people play one-on-one.
You're probably not. I mean, you're not dumb, but you're probably right. It's just so many of I haven't really even sat down and watched like a whole commander gameplay video ever on YouTube. But there are so many commander websites on YouTube and so many gameplay websites on YouTube. It just seems like everyone that I skim when I come across, it's always like formatted the same way. There's always a layout, 4 people going at it in a commander game. It always seems to be 4 people. But yeah, I don't think there's anything in the rules that say it has to be 4 people. That's the end of our first ever Old Man Magic commander segment.
Yeah, we'll have fun with this, and people can comment and make suggestions, and it'll be fun.
Next thing I wanted to talk about, Alex. You want to talk about this next part now?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Segment 2 of today's podcast. We're going to get back to some old stuff. I mean, Commander was kind of old stuff too. Newer format, but we were doing it with old cards. Next thing I want to talk about today is a spell cycle from Alliances. This was in my head for a couple reasons. 1, because of a reprint, and 2, because I found out about similar cycles in later sets. And I want to get into those in a future episode. But for now, I wanted to start with the original. And this is the original pitch spell cycle from Alliances. These are the sets of cards that you could either hard cast, or you could cast them by pitching a card from your hand. Right?
Yep.
So
and they all cost 5, right?
Pitch spells. I think they do. We'll get into that. I think they do. They all cast 5. Cost 5. The reason I was unsure is because the last one we're going to talk about, it's still 5 casting costs, but it's a little bit strange. It's different from the others. But the one everybody knows, this is not a new card to anybody, is Force of Will. So this is an uncommon, first printed in Alliances. An uncommon 2, Alex. Remind me again what the difference usually is between 1 and 2. The ones are more common.
2 means there are 2 uncommons, 2 of those per uncommon sheet, which means it is more common than an uncommon 1.
So uncommon 2 from Alliances, which is it was a big print run. Not a rare card. But despite that fact, this card's consistently between $50 and $100 for a long time. I'm burping into the mic. I'm hiccuping into the mic. Current market price of $84.26. But get back to the important stuff. Uncommon, first printed in Alliances. The reprints are coming fast and furious. When I said, one of the things that brought these pitch spells to mind was current reprints.
Yeah.
Was the fact that Force of Will is being reprinted in Dominaria Remastered.
Yeah, big headline, big chase card.
So here's the standard standard version of it. What am I trying to do here? There we go. Standard. I don't really love this art. Then they have this special treatment of it. Richard King Ferguson.
Looks good.
I love this one. I don't know how much this is going to go for. Right now, this is $167.49, but I don't really know how much of this is out there. This might be all pre-order right now. I don't know. If not all pre-order, it's like, I would wait.
Yeah, I think so too.
And then
everything seems to go down. And as long as the set has any like size to it, everyone says wait 3 weeks after release.
Yeah.
At least, wait for people to open it and for them to enter the market. And I think people keep saying Dominaria Remastered is going to be, widely available for a while. It's not going to be an issue. And if that's the case, there's going to be a lot of Force of Wills on the market. Here's
why I know these market prices are not currently sensible. Because we just saw the original Legends one has a market price of $85. The Dominaria Remastered, what did I say? Legends.
You're thinking about Mana Drain.
I am. Yeah. Alliance is about $85. This new frame version of Force of Will in Dominaria Remastered says $86 right now. The old frame version of that newer art says $165 right now, which is twice the cost of the original. No way these prices are at all sensible. So just don't even think about these prices at the moment. Curious to see what they go for though, because people, this is obviously a collectible. It's a classic card, but also it's at these prices because it's so highly playable in so many different
This card has not, if you go back to 2013, 2014, there are very few cards you can find that have like that much value relative to their current prices.
Yeah.
Everything else would have been like $5 back then.
We were just looking at Jacques Levert, which I probably could have picked up for like $11.
Yeah.
Now it's 50. This was $60 back then. It's an interrupt. You may pay 1 life and remove a blue card in your hand from the game instead of paying Force of Will's casting costs. Effects that prevent or redirect damage cannot be used to counter this loss of life. Counter target spell. This card is a bastard.
It is.
This changed the game, really.
It did.
Back in the day when we played. Like back in the day, if you were playing against blue, what you would wait for them to do is to tap out their blue.
Yeah.
And then you could be free. They'd play these games where they
plus you would count the mana they had. Did they have 2 blue? Can they counter? Oh, they have 1 blue and something else. Well, they can cast some not so great counter.
Yeah. You'd lose land destruction to get rid of one of their blue. And then they only had 1 blue, and then you'd be free to cast your spell. They couldn't really counter it. Now there's other stuff they could do with 1 blue. I'm trying to think what kind of things.
There's a couple.
Wasn't there 4 spike? Was that 4 spike from Legends? 1
I think
blue.
That's 1 blue.
And the spell was countered if they didn't pay an extra colorless or something. So
yeah. There's some cards like that.
But those cards weren't that common. Pretty much people played their counter spells for the most part. And then Force of Will, came into the game. Same set that Arcane Denial was in too, right? Another counter spell.
Which we were just talking about off the podcast, but we will probably mention soon sometime.
But this was incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
It left blue decks free to tap out and still screw you over with their counter spells. I almost don't like the fact that it exists.
It allowed you to counter very, very early game stuff that you wouldn't normally. You know what I mean? You can now counter stuff on the first turn of the game, even if you're going second.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I almost don't like the fact that it exists, except for the fact that it now allowed for that, first turn terror coming your way, for potential first turn kill. You now have a response to that. The game isn't necessarily over right away if you have your Force of Will. So it made people either have to like adapt their deck for Force of Will or adapt their deck to adopt Force of Will. It was a huge game changer back in the day. And there were a lot of cards we've been talking about, like since we started the podcast, that we didn't really recognize as being powerful when they first came out. But this is something that we all.
Oh yeah, everyone jumped on this right away. And I'm trying to remember. Do you remember what this cost when like it was new and hot? Like
I don't, but
$10?
I don't. This is what I was going to say. I was going to say like somewhere in the 10 to 15 to $20 range, probably around like 10 or 15.
Yeah,
because
definitely 10 to 20.
it wasn't cheap. I remember like trying to trade things for it, but it wasn't something that we couldn't get.
Right. Yeah.
Plus, we were pulling it out of packs.
Yeah, they were around. I sort of feel like at first it was $10, and then by the time Alliances was gone, then it like got up to 20. But I'm you know, it's hard for me to remember.
Yeah, I think it was probably around $10. But this is a legendary card. It's been popular since the time it was printed.
Yeah, and everyone wanted it when it came out. We, like you said, immediately everyone knew that it was good.
I am curious to see what happens, if anything at all happens to the original, to the price of this original, because it's not some Alliances is such a huge set, and this is an uncommon in Alliances. It's like, how much of this price tag is because collectors are buying it versus people are just buying it because they need it in their decks.
I think so many people want it, and they want 4 of them
to play them. To play.
I think I think the price is driven mostly by playability.
So do I. And I think in the cases like that, when the price is driven mostly by players, reprints can really have an effect. And if it was just one reprint, I would say, okay, it's going to drop to like 60 and then rebound or something. But, you know, they reprinted this in they reprinted it twice, like just recently. It was reprinted in Eternal Masters. That was a long time ago, I think. I can't remember exactly when. But then Double Masters.
So that's
Dummy Remastered. Oh, that's not Double Masters.
That's the first Double Masters, which is horrible naming. Come on.
Yeah.
Confuse us.
Now we have like 3 reprints in pretty big sets.
Mm-hmm.
So I just how many copies of Force of Will can the market handle? I just don't know.
It's true. It's true. The more they do, you know, they can definitely reprint this into oblivion if they want to. For now, I don't feel like the old one is going to change too much, especially because, at least on this graph, it's dipped a little bit recently. I feel like that dip was in response to the Dominaria remastered announcement.
It's still going down though. There's like no recovery yet.
You think it's still like on its way down still?
Sure looks like it to me.
Yeah.
At least on this particular graph, it's like it's a elevator down. We'll see what happens. The one thing it does have going for it though, the original printing, is iconic art. This is great art. And this art, I don't believe, will ever be reprinted because they don't like this.
Oh, yeah. So,
an issue for WOTC.
On TCG Player, for near mint, there's 1 for 85. A person has 4 for 88, and then they go up to 90, 93, 95.
These are near mint, you said?
So, yeah. So
damaged are going for 70, heavily play 72.
I think the ones for sale are, like, I think that graph going down is maybe not as bad as it looks because of the ones, you know what I mean? Like there's only a couple for sale that are under 93.
I bought one of these when we started playing. Again, I bought one pretty early on. I got it from eBay for like late mid 70s, and it's crispy. I was pretty excited about that.
Oh, sweet. Yeah.
What were you saying?
I don't know. I was trying to make a point, I guess, about the number for sale, and at least the number for sale that are under $95 or $100.
Not that many.
But I mean, I don't know. Maybe more will show up any minute because it's on its way down. I don't know.
Yeah. The truth is we don't know, but I'm curious to see what happens.
Yeah, I don't think it'll come down too much.
This is by far the best of the pitch spell cycles. It's almost the other thing that's kind of what pisses me off about this card. It's like they gave blue Force of Will.
Yeah.
And then the rest.
This is one of the most unbalanced cycles. This is like kind of on the level of Ancestral Recall.
I was just gonna say it's like the alpha one drop cycle.
At least though, like, Dark Ritual and Lightning Bolt are really good. I'm sorry, I'm dying.
We're both
I'm dying. I don't know. We're both like
having trouble.
Yeah.
Second card in the cycle.
Yeah.
What were we gonna say?
No, I was just gonna say, like going down in power now.
Yeah. Second card in the cycle is Contagion. This is
2 or 3 of these from back in the day. I like always had them and like always kind of wanted to use it.
Yeah.
I tried it in decks a few times. I had it in there. Kind of underwhelmed. It like helped me once or twice. I remember like kind of like I remember having it in decks and like a few times it did what it was supposed to, and then a lot of other times I was just like holding it.
I know what you mean, Alex. This is a card that I want to be much better than it is, but it just never did its thing for me. It's an uncommon, again, printed in Alliances. Reprinted since? Okay, only reprints since we're in like these weird specialty decks, World Championship decks, Deck Masters, Garfield versus Finkel, which we recently discussed. Casting cost of 3 colorless, 2 black. It's an instant.
Definitely something I would put in like a draft format deck like that, where you're like building a deck out of a limited thing and your opponent is too, like on the fly. Like I would definitely use this card in a format like that.
Yeah. You may pay 1 life and remove a black card in your hand from the game instead of paying the casting cost. Effects that prevent or redirect damage cannot be used to counter this loss of life. Put 2 -2, -1 counters distributed any way you choose on any number of target creatures. You can kill 2/1/1s. You can do some combat trickery.
Yeah. Combat trickery basically is
not really worth it for 2 cards.
You can kill some small valuable creatures back in the day when like, there were some like high utility creatures that were not survivable. You could get rid of them, but
just so many other things you could put in the deck instead.
Yeah, it's like do I want I don't know.
Not good enough. Just my experience. My experience with this card was exactly what you said. You put it in some decks, you tried to play it, and maybe it did some things for you a couple times, but most of the time it just sat there in your hand. You wish you pulled something else instead.
Yeah, that's the thing, because you have to pitch another card with it, and it's like you're never going to spend the 5 to cast it on its own. Not that you're really going to do that with Force of Will most of the time, but like, I don't know. The Force of Will surprise factor is huge, and this is you can do the combat trick with it, I guess, but it's
a combat trick usually doesn't have the same impact on the game on average
as a counter spell.
Is a surprise counter.
Yeah, I think so. This I will say this might be good in combination with like Sengir Vampire, for example, because you can like keep your Sengirs alive and help feed them. But I don't know. Even Sengir, even in of itself, is a card that I've always like tried to use because I want them to grow, and they don't ever seem to. People just like avoid them. They like don't want to feed them, and like they're good, but I don't know. Sarah Angel was always better back in the day.
I fed one of your Sengirs over the weekend. Alex, it was terrible.
Yeah. I enjoyed it. Got bigger.
I did not. I enjoyed the next 3 games. Bounty of the Hunt. Alex. Next card in the cycle. Green card. You have some strong opinions on this card. I'll start off by saying that this might actually go in my commander deck because I want multiple pump spells. And multiple pump spells in a singleton format, this is one that you might want to include. Your comments were, I want to like this card, but it blows. Art is wonky. Typesetting is all fucked up. Word small, big box. You were upset about all sorts of things.
Yeah, look at that.
You were upset about the graphic design, the art, the power level of the card. You didn't like any of it. Bounty of the Hunt is, again, an uncommon. Printed in Alliances. Only minor reprints since, like Contagion. I think, what was it reprinted in? Again, some of these weird specialty sets. Cold Snap theme deck reprints. Again, makes an appearance in Deck Masters, Garfield versus Finkel. World Championship decks. What was I saying? Casting cost 3 colorless, 2 green, instant. You may remove a green card in your hand from the game instead of playing a Bounty of the Hunt's casting cost. Put 3 +1/+1 counters distributed any way you like on any number of target creatures. Remove these counters at the end of turn. So again, combat trickery. I do think this is better combat trickery than Contagion.
Well, it's 3 counters instead of 2 for starters, and they aren't as big, but it gives you a little more versatility.
Now, it's a giant growth for either 5 or sacrificing a card, but it's a giant growth that you can distribute. So there might be some cases in which, you can do some combat trickery on 2 or 3 creatures instead of just the one. And I don't remember ever really playing this card much back in the day. I'm going to try it in my commander deck, which is going to be very creature heavy. Lots of pump stuff. I could see myself getting into a situation where, just like Contagion, every once in a while, this card does its thing, but most of the time I wish I had something else in my hand. I guess we'll see.
One thing I like about this, I've never really played with this card, so I don't know, but a couple things I'm sort of thinking about and seeing now is I kind of like its place in green more than Contagion's place in black, because like with green later in the game, there's a good chance you'll have like low casting cost green spells that you don't mind pitching. I feel like with black, you're probably, and that might not be true if you're playing like a black weenie deck, but I sort of felt like with black, you're going to want to, the card you would pitch would be more valuable to you, maybe. Do you know what I mean?
Potentially.
Just because you could have black weenie decks, you could have, I'm just thinking about the cards in green, having mana elves, having things that, I sort of thought about forest, but that is true. It's just green cards, so you can't pitch a forest for it. So that wouldn't work.
No, but that is true. Every green deck, I shouldn't say every, almost all green decks have manimals for mana ramp. And it's never that great to pull a Llanowar Elf in like turn 7.
Yeah.
You could do something else with it. That's fine.
And plus this synergizes with Trample.
Yes.
Which is nice.
Yeah, and you can use it to finish a game, which Contagion, not so much. I don't know how you finish a game.
Maybe if you can kill a blocker so that you can get through, but Contagion's more likely to like help you win the next turn.
Yeah, what am I thinking about? Yeah, you could kill a blocker with Contagion and then attack, but it would have to be a blocker that was like 1 toughness, and was that really what was holding you back from winning the game anyways?
You can use it to kill creatures, but they're still going to block you probably with Contagion. I feel like the perspective on this art is weird.
I know you hated it. You were really
I didn't hate it. It's just
I didn't expect you to go after the typesetting. You attacked it from every angle. That's the thing
I hate the most. I hate that the words are so tiny, and then there's a bunch of unused space that they could have made the
But hold on, let me look. Let me go back to Contagion.
This is an Alliance's problem. I think that's a specific Alliance's problem.
It's not unique to just Bounty of the Hunt.
Force of Will's not that bad, is it?
I don't think so. There we go.
Yeah, see, that looks
larger
normal.
Text.
What the heck? It's in the same cycle.
They did these cards dirty in so many different ways. They
get smaller. It gets smaller from one to the next.
They even get. I arranged these in order of largest to smallest font.
They get worse.
Next card in the cycle. Oh, here we go. We got pretty good typesetting. Well, better font size. Pyrokinesis. An uncommon again. First printed in Alliances again. Again, only minor reprints, I believe. Dual decks and such. Oh, Eternal Masters. This is why I said I believe. I don't actually know how big of a set Eternal Masters is.
I don't either, but I don't think it was. Well,
I shouldn't say only minor reprints because we got anthologies here too. Okay. Another Alliance is uncommon. Casting cost 3 colorless. No, 4 colorless, 2 red. I forgot about that. Alex.
Oh, it goes
Holy
up.
Smokes.
Holy smokes.
Holy smokes, I got to make a note. It's an instant. You may remove a red card in your hand from the game instead of paying Pyrokinesis casting cost. Pyrokinesis deals 4 damage divided any way you choose among any number of target creatures. So, worse than a fireball. I mean, it does 4 damage for 6 mana. With a fireball, you could do 5 damage if you pay 6 mana.
Yeah.
The
I
idea
would never
here,
cast this on its own.
the idea here is if you play this card, you're probably not hard casting it anyway, so you're pitching a card for it. But what red spell do you want to pitch to do 4 damage? You could probably just include in your deck 2 red spells that you have to hard cast, but for less mana.
Yeah, like you don't want to pitch a
more than
lightning
4
bolt
damage
for this, for example. Like that would be a waste.
I don't think I ever tried to play Pyrokinesis. I'm not sure what I would want to pitch for it. Not sure what kind of deck I would want to put it in.
I would have put it into like a goblin deck back in the day where you had a bunch of like shitty low-powered goblins. But like the deck you were talking about building like last week or the week before, like I wouldn't want to pitch a lot of those goblins because they're good.
Yeah. Not going to do it. And I also had the thought to myself, how does this compare to Pyrotechnics? Pyrotechnics from Legends. Of course, Pyrotechnics, you can't pitch it. We'll go with the Classic 6th edition. It's 1 mana less, 4 colorless, 1 red.
Okay.
Deals 4 damage divided any way you choose among any number of target creatures and players. So better to hard cast.
I kind of like Pyrokinesis better. I kind of don't hate this one as much, just because I know it's going to be, like you said, like there might be red cards you don't want to pitch for it because they're efficient in their damage dealing, but I like the ability, if you're tapped out, to suddenly deal 4 damage, finish someone off really easily if they have blockers that you can't get through.
It's my 3rd favorite. There's 2 that I hate more than this. I shouldn't say I don't hate Contagion. I think Force of Will, Bounty of the Hunt, Pyrokinesis for me, personally.
Mm-hmm.
You are right, though. If you want to deal 4 damage right away. Maybe you don't have a red burn spell in your hand back in the day that can deal 4 damage.
I think it's
your
probably
like down to 4.
It might be good in like a hybrid deck, like where you don't have. I don't know. I'm sort of thinking about it in like blue-red, where like maybe you're countering and you won't have mana left over. You know what I mean? And you can use this as. But then at that point, you could be using Force of Will instead of this as your surprise spell in your hand. So
it's better to have a surprise counter than a surprise 4 damage dealer.
Probably, yeah. But I don't know. I could sort of see it maybe in some deck where I don't know, you want that surprise ability. I don't know. I can't think of an example now, but
I don't think I ever played it. And that was pre-Fire Blast. Fire Blast also deals 4 damage to target creature or player.
I remember this.
But this is what you use to finish people.
Yeah.
You sacrifice 2 mountains, which is a terrible cost, but I mean, Fire Blast is an awesome card.
But it's probably better late in the game for a red deck to get rid of some mountains than to potentially get rid of one of the few cards you have left in your hand that might also be a damage dealer.
Alex, you think this is a Skirk?
Could be.
Let me refer back.
Have they ironed out the Skirks yet by Visions? I feel like that might be pre-Skirks.
I don't know. I'm going to refer to my notes on Skirks I have down here. Otarian goblins. The goblins of Otaria inhabit the Skirk Ridge. I wonder if there are goblins in Otaria that aren't Skirks. They live outside the Skirk Ridge.
Probably, because they said they like took in some of their cousins and stuff.
My notes say Otarian goblins tend to be very short and squat with long bulbous noses. Not long, but it is bulbous. And flaring bat-like ears. Definitely a flaring bat-like ear here,
His nose is a little short, but it could be perspective. He could have a longer nose and he's looking kind of straight at us.
He could be. Foreshortening, Alex.
Yes.
This could be foreshortening. I will have to do some further research on this. At the moment, I can say
first appearance of Skirks.
It's an Otarian goblin. Not yet positive that it is a Skirk. Back to the pitch.
What's the flavor text on that card say? I can't read
it. Googly. Ember mages aren't well known for their diplomatic skills.
Okay.
This could be better.
Yeah.
A little disappointed on that. Should be better. I wonder if they'd up. If I hope they've updated the flavor text on Fire Blast over the years. Let me check that out. It's been reprinted, dubbed and remastered. Oh, are you serious?
Same thing.
They update all sorts of flavor texts. The fact that they haven't updated this one is a travesty. I feel like that it could do so much better for Fire Blast, don't you think?
Oh yeah, for sure. Who's even talking about Ember Mages? What, like, I didn't bring that up.
No.
Card's not called Ember Mage Blast.
No, get out of here. Get out of here with your Ember Mages. Alex, last card in the pitch cycle from Alliance is this one.
Last one.
Alex, you had very strong opinions on this one.
I did.
I believe you said, "Oh my fucking god, I hate this piece of shit." I rued the day I pulled these from packs.
I did. I actually did say that.
You did. I always hated how it looked like they took a real life fat dork and put a robe on him and made him sit with a sword for 3 hours where somebody painted him. That is actually true, Alex. That was a very good comment. I enjoyed that very much.
He's wearing a bed sheet. What did you like? Wore his like super big fat brother's shirt that's been stretched out and messed up in the washing machine. It's like, this looks good.
You are not just being crotchety. You are truth telling with that one. Scars of the Veteran, another uncommon first printed Alliances. Reprinted in Cold Snap theme deck. Never buying that piece of garbage. I mean, it might not be a piece of garbage, but it's already had 2 of the worst.
Dude looks like he's using the sword to help himself stand up to go get some more Cheetos.
I know. I'm not intimidated by him. I mean, he has lots of scars.
But shorts.
It might just mean that he's terrible at battle. He's terrible at sword play.
Yeah.
I want a veteran that isn't scarred up.
Right? Immaculate veteran.
Yes.
Looks beautiful.
That's what I want. You gave them a great idea for a card. Next pitch cycle, when they want to give white a better pitch card, Immaculate Veteran.
Yeah. There's probably already a card called that.
It might be. Casting cost 4 colorless, 1 white. So again, 5, but only 1.
Better than all the other ones.
Instant. Again, terrible font size. You may remove a white card in your hand from the game instead of paying Scars of the Veteran's casting cost. I had a stroke. Prevent up to 7 damage to target creature or player. For each 1 damage to a creature prevented by Scars of Veteran, put a +0/+1 counter on that creature at end of turn. Does it stay there? It stays there, right?
Okay. I think I misread this the first one time, and I thought it was like Bounty of the Hunt, and it said until end of turn.
So again, battle trickery. I don't hate it, but I think it's the worst of the cycle, and I've never played it.
Okay.
So I kind of do hate it, maybe.
I'm pretty sure I misread this the first time, and I thought they were temporary counters, which sort of explains my severe anger. I'll notch up my opinion of this since the counters stay. I still don't like it.
Is it the worst? I'm not so sure anymore either. I just said it was the worst. Pyrokinesis, Contagion, Scars of the Veteran. Which one do I want? I think I want maybe Pyrokinesis. No, I think I want Contagion. I think it's the worst.
They're all meh. They're all like, I could use this sometime.
Here's what it comes down to. Yeah, a lot of these cards, all these cards, short of Force of Will, I could put them in my deck. I could probably get them to work every once in a while.
It could help you win a game once in a while.
But considering every other card that exists in the same color, why would I put these cards in my deck instead of a million
this
other
card
things?
Costs you 2 cards. All these cards
cost you 2 cards.
And with Force of Will, that's okay. But with the other ones, not so much.
Yeah.
I feel like, I don't know. There's a reason the rest of these aren't worth $100.
Yeah. If it costs you 2 cards, you could just put a Holy Strength and a Righteousness in your deck or something. And I know that won't add potentially 7 counters to your creature, but you're probably never going to actually add 7 counters anyways.
Right.
Yeah. Get rid of your Scars of Veteran, run a Righteousness and a Holy Strength or something.
2 Righteousnesses, yeah.
End of discussion. 2 Righteousnesses. End of discussion. 2 Holy Strengths. Whatever. Yeah. Whatever combination you want to choose. But Alex, that was the pitch cycle from Alliances. Force of Will is very exciting. Force of Will is game changing. The rest are just there, but I will put Bounty of the Hunt in my commander deck spoiler.
Yeah, try it out. I can see it.
Here's the other thing that might happen with our commander build. I might have one episode where I say, okay, today I'm adding these 2 cards to my commander deck. And then maybe 3 episodes later, I'll be like, I'm taking this one out.
They're out.
Placing it. That will happen.
The thing I hate about Bounty of the Hunt is that the counters are temporary. They should be permanent. It wouldn't make the card like super, super game breaking or awesome.
It wouldn't.
It would just make it like a solid card.
It would just make it good.
Yeah.
You hear that?
That's
Mark Rosewater?
Yeah.
Anyways, the reason I wanted to bring this up really is because there are other pitch cycles that I do want to talk about in the future. But I thought we should start with the OG, Alex.
Yeah, of course. Start at the beginning.
I think that's it for today, Alex. This is the end of episode 21. I want to say to everybody, thank you for listening to another episode of the Old Man Magic podcast. If you made it this long, almost nobody makes it this long. Most people recently have been quitting about 5 minutes into the podcast. It's not the greatest metric. So I don't know how many actually make it to like minute 120, maybe like 1 or 2. I usually do because I usually have it streaming on in the background just to make sure there were no like crazy audio errors during the upload or something. But even I don't listen the whole time. It's just kind of there in the background. If you did make it that long, though, I thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate you. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to Old Man Magic. Please hit the notification bell. You can also find us at Old Man Magic on Twitter. We have an Old Man Magic Facebook, which I almost never post on. Nobody's there, but you could be the first. You could be our first follower. You'll get special attention because you'll be the only person there for me to talk to. Every time you post something, I will answer. I will see it. Again, also, if you comment on the YouTube channels.
Like his main online friend.
Yeah, I'm commenting. Friend. I'm replying to all the people who comment on our YouTube channel because I really appreciate that. We only have a few so far, but you too could be in early. You could get special attention from the old men. Maybe one day even Alex will respond.
Just say like that.
I don't know. What special attention from the old men? What's wrong with that? Get your mind out of the gutter, Alex. It can be wholesome. It can be wholesome. We can be mentoring them.
We're always wholesome. We're very wholesome.
What else do I want to say? You could also find the podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We're always on YouTube first. I post to YouTube, then I'm busy for a few days. Then usually over the weekend, I'll get up on our podcast aggregator, and then we go to the Apple Podcasts, the Spotifys, the other things. I think that's it for today, Alex. I don't know if there's anything else I wanted to say. Oh,
2020. Oh, go ahead.
Whoever unsubscribed from our channel today, I'm very disappointed. But I want to say that if you do decide to come back, you will be forgiven. We will welcome you with open arms.
We will.
I understand. Maybe,
he had too many subscriptions going. He's like, I got to trim some of the fat.
That's what I was thinking. I'm thinking maybe with somebody was doing some like New Year housekeeping activities, and they're like, oh,
But in a couple weeks he'll get tired of like potholder channel, how to make potholders at home, and he'll be like, oh, I put that magic channel back on.
We're gonna keep posting. We're gonna win that person back, and when you come back, I want you to listen to this episode. I'm gonna assume you listened all the way to the end of this episode. I want you to comment in our comment section to say, I'm back, baby. I'm back.
We'll make little hearts and clappies.
I would love that.
Yeah.
Anyways, Alex, end of the show. Thanks everybody for listening. Really appreciate it. Thanks for the podcast.
2022 in the bag. Made it to video. Got the video done by the end of the year, like we said.
It is true. That was our number one goal.
Here we are. More to come.
See you next week.
Later.
Love you, Alex.
Love you too.
I love you. Okay. Bye.